Hello children. Today I am about to start the third session from the chapter Income from House Property. In the previous session, that is the second session, we have discussed about the deemed owners in details. Now we are proceeding with the topic Income not taxable under house property. Under this topic, we are going to discuss in detail as to what are the cases under which income is not taxable under the head income from house property. The owner of the house property is not liable to pay the tax under this head of income if the property is used by him for his own business or profession. I repeat, if the owner of the house property is not liable to pay the tax under this head if he is using the same house property for his own business or profession. Let us take the first point now. If letting is only incidental and subservient to the main business of the SSC, rental income is not taxable under the head income from house property but is chargeable under the head profits and gains of business and profession. I would like to give an example here. If letting is only incidental means if an employer builds quarters for residential use by his employees and the letting out of these quarters is considered as incidental to his business, the income from such property is not taxable under this head because the property in this case is considered to be used by the owner for his own business. It shall therefore be taxed under business income. So, if letting is only incidental and subservient, what is the meaning of subservient? Serving to promote some purpose. So, the purpose is the business. So, if letting is only incidental and subservient to the main business of the SSC, rental income is not taxable under the head income from house property but is chargeable under the head profits and gains of business and profession. Next, we shall come towards the second point, that is composite rent. In some cases, the owner obtains the rent of other assets like furniture, etc. or he charges for different services provided in the building. For example, charges of lift, security, air conditioning. Apart from obtaining the rent of the building, the amount so recovered is known as composite rent. I repeat, in some cases, the owner of the house will charge some rent for other assets used by the tenants like furniture, etc. or he charges for some services of which he provides in the building like lift services, security services and air conditioning services. Apart from obtaining the rent, the charges and the charges for the assets and the charges for the services is in addition to the rent of the building. This amount so recovered is called as a composite rent. I repeat once again, if apart from recovering the rent of the building, in some cases the owner gets rent of other assets and he charges for different services provided in the building, the amount so recovered is called as composite rent. Following is the tax treatment of the composite rent. When composite rent includes rent of building and charges for different services, in such situations, composite rent is to be split up and the amount of services is chargeable under the head profits and gains of business or profession or income from other sources, as the case may be, and the rent of property is chargeable under the head income from house property. This rule is applicable even if it is difficult to split up the amount. So I repeat the first point here, when composite rent includes rent of building and charges of different services. If the composite rent, whatever is received by the owner of the house property includes the rent of the building and charges of the charges for the different services. In such situation, what we should do is that we are supposed to divide the composite rent. We are supposed to split up the composite rent, and the amount of services is chargeable under the head profits and gains of business or income from other sources, as the case may be. And the rent of the property received by the owner is chargeable under the head income from house property, and this rule is applicable even if it is very difficult to split the amount. Next point, where composite rent is rent of letting out of building and letting out of other assets, and two lettings are not separable, that is letting of one is not acceptable to the other party without letting other. In such situation, income is taxable either under the head profits and gains of the business or profession or income from other sources, as the case may be. This rule is applicable even if some received from the two lettings is fixed separately. The second point, where the composite rent is rent of letting out of building and letting out of other assets, and two lettings are not separable, that is letting of one is not acceptable to the other party without letting of the other. So here in such situation, what happens is that income is taxable either under the head profits and gains of business or profession or income from other sources, as the case may be. This rule is applicable even if sum receivable for the two lettings is fixed separately. Coming to the third situation, where composite rent is rent of letting out of building and letting out of other assets, and the two lettings are separable, that is letting of one is acceptable to the other party without letting of the other. In such situation, income from letting out of building is taxable under the head income from house property. Income from letting out of assets is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession or income from other sources, as the case may be. This rule is applicable even if the SSC receives composite rent from his tenant for two lettings. With this, I conclude the third session, which talks about the incomes not taxable as house property income under the head income from house property. Thank you.